Hi, it's Sue with Saving Words, and this is the start of part 8. Thanks for joining. Monday, April 4th, 2011. Lunes Azul. Just ran 2 miles. It's gray and chilly, but it felt great. I caught up on my emails this morning and have forwarded Steve's list of 4 possible rehab centers to various Southsiders in my contact list for their comments. Mike is conducting an interview with a member of his business coaching program. Michael's at school since spring break has ended. He wore brand new cuffed black dress pants, a black shirt, and a striking red tie to school. The volleyball team members dress up when they have an away game. Mike and I are planning to drive out to a high school in the western suburbs to watch the game. A volleyball mom has organized the Subway sandwich pickup for an early dinner, so the members of the always hungry boys team can fortify themselves while on the bus ride over there. I responded to her email this morning and said I'll handle the sandwich pickup for the May 20th away game. Wow, that seems a long way off. So much can happen between then and now. I know I need to call and get the report today from Mom and Kath, but I just can't bear it. I just have a feeling that today and tomorrow are not going to be good days. I hope I'm imagining this. I wish Pop were up and about and recovering, back on his way and walking and going home and smoking his pipe downstairs or in the garage. But I know I have to call to see how Pop is doing and find out if he is able or unable to remain at Christ Hospital for rehab. Yesterday, Mom said she'd ask, even beg, Dad's primary care doc to see if Pop could stay put and receive therapy there. If not, Mom said she and I could visit and evaluate the 4 rehab centers that the doc told her about. This really is not fun. I can't believe it's still April 4th. I texted Kath this afternoon and she called after that. She told me Dad had a big smile on his face as she approached him yesterday, and it was because they were singing the 7th inning stretch song on the TV during the White Sox game. I called Mom but got no answer and I left a message. After Mike and I returned from the volleyball game, I picked up a message from Steve on my home phone. I returned his call. He said Pop was still in ICU and that he was doing better than yesterday. Yay, yay! So there it was, the assessment I had been waiting for. Steve and Pop ordered a dinner of chicken soup, fish, potatoes, and a chocolate protein shake. And Dad consumed a portion of each item. The nurse informed Steve that Pop was doing better than he had been doing. Oh, so there was the not so good news I had feared. As it turned out, Mom had seen him that morning, actually in a much more fragile state. So she was thrilled to hear from Steve that Dad had eaten some dinner and was doing a little better. I asked Steve if he knew if Dad had received any therapy, and he reported that Dad had his feet on the floor today. No, he still hasn't tried to stand yet, but thank God for small miracles. Feet on the floor, right? I called Mom and she relayed this news from her visit. Dad's dentures were in, and the staff was trying to clear his lungs. They were rotating him, and they were assessing the bowel. So I guess it was a blessing to hear from Steve a half day later that Dad had eaten a decent meal and was doing better. I texted Michael to see if his team bus had returned to school when my cell rang. It was my high school friend Carol calling to provide me with feedback about the 4 rehab centers on our list. She lives in Texas, but her sister is a nurse in southwest suburbs of Chicago and was familiar with the 4 centers we had asked about, and plus a few more. Dad is to be moved from ICU to a room tomorrow, and he'll need to relocate to a rehab center to receive treatment if he isn't approved for treatment at Christ. I emailed the information Carol gave me to Kath and Steve. I asked Kath if she wanted to join Mom and me tomorrow as we sort through rehab options. I composed a list of questions for the rehab staff and the residents to help us gain insight into which facility would be best for Dad. I pray that we figure all this out and get him settled soon for the next part of the journey. I almost can't believe the good news that he's doing better today. I was so afraid today would be a day of decline. Thank you, God, for this improvement. Every day is such a gift. Did anyone else marvel at the most beautiful blue sky wrapped up in layers of white cotton clouds just before sunset tonight? Tuesday, April 5th, 2011. Mom and I met with the social worker at Christ Hospital at 1 p.m. today, and she and the staff all hope Pop can receive therapy at Christ. But it consists of 3 intense hours of exercises per day. Kath met with the rehab doc in Dad's hospital room. She told us the rehab doctor will be the one who will approve or disapprove of Pop's eligibility for the program. He will base his decision on Dad's progress, and not only the progress, but on the PT reports. Kath said the rehab doctor had said, "Dad, do you want to go back to your life?" Dad had said, "Yes." If Dad does not get approved for therapy at Christ Hospital, our second choice for rehab is Manor Care on College Drive in Palos Heights, where Mom was treated several years ago for her hip injury. The social worker said she would call Manor Care to place Dad on the waiting list. She also contacted United Healthcare to double check that Manor Care and several other places we were considering were in their network. Mom and I went to Dad's room after the social worker meeting. I told Dad we had some news. He said, okay. He fumbled a little bit with the remote to turn down the game that he hadn't even been watching. Then I let him know that he could stay at Christ and receive therapy if the rehab doctor approved of his PT reports. I didn't mention that the social worker basically had told us to threaten him to get him motivated so he could stay at Christ rather than go to a rehab center. I made it clear to Dad that the decision would be based on his current abilities and that everyone agreed that Christ was the best place to receive treatment. I said if he was unable to stay here, though, we could get him into Manor Care, where Mom had gone for her hip rehab. Dad's only reaction was, okay. It was not an uplifting scenario at that point. I don't even think Dad kept his eyes open while I was talking. I was trying to keep myself together. Even the ICU staff today seemed to be trying to cajole Dad to get him going. This afternoon, his nurse began preparing to move him from ICU to a room and asked him, "What has tired you out today?" "The bath?" Dad nodded his head yes. Even the nurse was worried. After that, however, he was set up in his room, and a flurry of Filipino nurses said that he was strong. And shortly after that, he did accept the invitation to eat his soup from one of them. But that's after he first refused and told her to come back in 5 minutes. When she returned, she lifted the spoon to feed him. That's when he let her know that he could feed himself. Okay, I'll just get you a towel, she said. Mom and I left on that life-giving act. And then later, while I was in the checkout lane at the grocery store, Kath texted me that Dad had PT and did better than yesterday. I am still floating on that news. A good day after all. Well, let's all threaten him to get him motivated. We have everything to gain. Wednesday, April 6th, 2011. In my bed in Park Ridge. I got home after visiting Dad from 3 to 7 p.m., followed by attending a family friend's wake, followed by a stop in Hickory Hills with Mom, Kath, and Steve to discuss Dad's progress. Kath ended up calling the 6th floor nurses station to say that our family believes that Dad might do better with a lower dose of pain med. Until we all sat together at that table, I hadn't realized that Dad probably was being over-medicated. That would explain why he hadn't been able to keep his eyes open and why the ICU nurse asked him why he was so tired yesterday. That was so odd. And now that we've put it together, I see that the dosage probably had been too high. We have all been amazed that he has reported no pain. And because we are so relieved that he's not in pain, we have overlooked how drugged up he is. The nurse said she'd call the primary care doc to discuss the matter. I am so tired. I am going to stop now. Kath is taking over all day tomorrow. Good night. God bless us. Thanks. See you next time.